Let's start off talking about this very silly Jon Gruden controversy. Everyone is so wound up like a top. Everyone's just losing their minds over the stupidest things ever. All right, here's what we need to know first before we can have this conversation. There used to be actual slaves. I want people to know this. There were human beings who were slaves. Could you imagine you yourself being a slave? Let me ask you this. How did you sleep last night? No, I don't mean good sleep or bad sleep. How did you sleep last night? Was it on a bed? Did you sleep on a bed? That's a miracle. That's a miracle. When you laid down last night on a bed, did you say, thank you, God, for this bed? And you woke up this morning, you said, I had a bed the whole night. Oh, God, thank you for this bed. I pray that I get another one tomorrow. Did you do that? What does your workday look like today? Is it back-breaking labor from sunup until sundown with a bowl of gruel if you're lucky in the afternoon under the boiling hot sun, whipped near to death if you dare slow down? Is that your day? No, it's not. All right, stop whining. I have a little bit of a sore throat today and yesterday because I've been talking a lot. Been talking so much. People walking around acting like they're actual slaves out here. Every single slave, if they came back alive today and they heard people complaining, they would slap you and then go back to being dead because they wouldn't even want to live. They wouldn't even want to be alive in today's culture of victimhood. They'd rather be dead. Like imagine if a slave came back to life and I'm like, oh man, I know how you feel, slave. My throat hurts. And they're like, oh, were you choked nearly to death for not doing enough work? I'm like, oh, no, I've just been talking a lot lately. My throat's a little hoarse. And like the slave would be thinking, are you kidding me? I persevered for this. We all had kids in the midst of slavery. We had more kids born into slavery with a scintilla of hope for better days to come, where we could have more freedom and prosperity like never before in human history, which we have today. We have luxury today that a slave master couldn't even fathom possible. And we're still whining. We're whining and we're weak. And I got a couple stories on this point, actually, but we'll start with the big one of the day, the Jon Gruden one, coach of the Raiders until yesterday. There was an NFL panel of former NFL football players crying over what Jon Gruden wrote in a private email 10 years ago, literally in 2011, literally 10 years ago. He wrote that the head of the NFL Players Union, Morris Smith, and he wrote it dumb, like dumb Morris Smith, has lips the size of Michelin tires. 10 years ago he wrote that, and his life's over. That's it, it's gone. Everything, his entire career is over. He'll never work another day in his life. Also in these emails that like, I don't know where they came from. Like, does anyone know how these got like released or whatever? Like, he also called Joe Biden in 2012 a nervous, clueless female genitalia. Now, little context on the big lips comment and all this, the racism part. Richard Sherman, star football player, this summer, he was arrested for burglary, domestic violence, resisting arrest, and malicious mischief, while he was being investigated for a hit-and-run DUI driving through a closed construction zone. He's fine. He's still playing. But Jon Gruden says someone has big lips. And we're all supposed to like freak out. Oh, it's a minstrel show. It always goes back to these minstrel shows. No one's ever seen a minstrel show in their entire life, but we always got to constantly bring up minstrel shows. Like just the mere mention of them brings back these horrific memories. It's a racist trope of minstrel shows. Have we ever been a weaker people ever? We're so pathetically weak. I had this vision yesterday. I don't know where it came in, but this is who we are. We are this guy. This is our country. If I were to show a picture of our country today, this is who we are. We are the prince from Braveheart. That's us. We are just this wildly insecure, effeminate, pansy, just poser of a people. We are, and he's the king, or he's the prince, right? So, I mean, look, he's got all the most luxurious robes and gowns and the whole thing, right? He's so comfortable, and so are we. We are comfortable to the point where we have skin. It's not even like porcelain. Like what's the, like, I need something wispier. Like what's the wispiest, just the thing that you get, like we are half-ply toilet paper. I don't even, like, do they sell half-ply? We're half-ply. Right here. If you were a slave, you can't fathom that. So just let's start over. Imagine a slave. And someone insulted the slave, like insulted them. You're ugly. The slave wouldn't care. But you and I, we all have grown up in the most pampered, privileged existence of all time. So now if someone insults someone else, it's a mortal wound to my soul. Oh, you said a mean thing. Oh, that's how we're all acting. You're telling me this guy who Jon Gruden made fun of, was he really hurt by this? Of course he wasn't. So why pretend to be hurt? That's the question. Of course he wasn't actually hurt. So why are we pretending to be hurt? And why do the rest of us have to, like, pretend to be hurt on this guy's behalf? Oh, I feel so awful. Why are people crying? Is it Randy Moss? Is that what it was? Randy Moss is crying. Why? Why are we pretending to be even weaker than we are? And it's because weakness has been weaponized. Weakness has been weaponized. This is Mike Tirico, and this is just my point on, like, what's true doesn't even matter. So Mike Tirico's fellow Monday Night Football commentator, worked with him for a bunch of years. Here's what Mike Tirico says. I was with Jon Gruden at the time, 7 years as my partner on Monday Night Football. I probably know Jon better than anybody in the league on a personal level. He said it right. He was ashamed of the comments in the email. Sure, the comments in the email are wrong. But my experience kind of parallels Tim Brown, who played for Jon. Brown said he never experienced or saw anything that would say Jon was racist in any way. That was exactly the experience I had. 7 years of traveling, 3 days together on the road together every single week. Never a racist in any way whatsoever. So what matters the most here? A comment in an email about someone's lips 10 years ago, or someone's actual actions and behaviors with friends and colleagues that he's worked with, where none of them can point to a single racist thing that he's ever done?
Wow, that was deep and insightful. I want more of that. Like, subscribe, get more.